The economy. The vibes are bad, but the numbers say it's strong. The economy is kind of like you on the steps of Air Force One.
Biden and the Correspondents' Dinner. What the real message was.
What in the hell's going on?
The Arab Spring break gives Colombia the finger.
There'll be some funny stuff we can watch on TV tonight. Well, guess what? Where is it? This is the result of the extreme left and PC crap.
Seinfeld says the left killed comedy. John O'Hurley is here.
I am smack dab in the middle of a good old-fashioned catfight.
Plus,
tell me about the Bill of Rights.
Oh my God. Cut the cameras.
once a year, politicians, journalists, and celebrities get dressed up for the White House Correspondents' Dinner, a tradition that goes back over a century to Warren Harding, when the president and the press, who theoretically have an adversarial relationship, lay down their weapons and pick up their silverware and give each other a good old ribbing over cocktails and filet. It's designed to demonstrate the humanity of Washington, which is why it only happens once a year. They're funny bones. They bring props, even impersonators.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, here I am.
Probably needed his aviators for that a little oomph. Kaylee, thank you so much. Good to see you.
Little butter knife.
Little butter knife. Use the knife. Time. Do you want to live in a house where children don't follow the rules because they aren't enforced? Well, we're living in a country where adults don't follow the rules because they're not enforced. Do you like living in a country like that? I don't. The View thinks we're being too hard on little Johnny G.
It has never been in my life, in my career, the criticizing policies of government is equated with anti-Semitism. And that, I think, is a far right, comes from the far right. It comes from the authoritarian leanings where they don't want students on these campuses to voice their opinions because they want to change the narrative going forward. And I think we have to be very, very
Since I haven't said anything.
No one supports free speech on campus more than conservatives. You should be able to protest war, chant slogans, and speak your mind without anybody censoring or arresting you. But this isn't about free speech. This is about physically intimidating and harassing a religious minority on campus with violent and anti-Semitic threats and preventing them from going to class, forcing remote learning and blockading the site where graduation is supposed to happen. Conservatives said the wrong pronouns, and they were chased off campus by throngs of purple-haired women's studies majors. But liberals can yell "kill Jews" from a Hamas campsite, and members of Congress come visit and then order them pizza? You know it's gotten bad when the media says Republicans are pouncing. The Bezos Washington Post saying Trump GOP seize on campus protests to depict chaos under Biden. Well, I'm not sure we're depicting chaos. I think this is chaos. They lathered up these schools with DEI, CRT, and scrapped the SATs, and then had tenured faculty tell them they'd get extra credit for activism. They can chant hate speech and there's no consequences. Classes are canceled and Biden's hiding under his desk.
We continue to believe, and I've said this multiple times already today, is that peacefully protest, Americans should have the right to do so, to peacefully protest, whether it's at a commencement or at their school or anywhere in this country. It has to be done where we do not have hateful rhetoric, violent rhetoric. We gotta condemn those. That should not be allowed.
Founder of Lest People Forget, Elizabeth Pitko, joins me now. Well, Elizabeth, so you heard Sonny on The View say this is just about free speech and they should be able to protest on campus and it's not anti-American to protest war. What do you say?
Well, first of all, it is incredibly anti-American to tear down American flags during your protest while you raise up flags of other nations. That's number one. Number two, I'd like to point out all of the incidents we have seen, the horrific incidents, I'm talking the violence, the threats, the hate speech on these campuses. These are the fault solely of the universities, not the student protesters. And again, we're not talking here about the right to peacefully protest. Like you said, we all support the right to peacefully protest. We're talking about universities own rules, standards, and policies which are being broken every single day. And anytime one of these schools puts out any kind of potential threat to enforce their own policies, we know that those threats are empty. Not just me and you, Jesse. When I say we, I mean the students at these schools know that the threats are empty. By the way, the ones who break the rules, but also the ones who are at home terrified right now because they've been threatened on their own campuses for either being pro-Israel or Jewish themselves.
So what happens when Columbia University tells this tent city, pack up at 2 or else? And then it's 2:01 and they're all just hanging out in the tents doing God knows what. What's going to happen tomorrow, next week, next month? Like, when do they do anything about it?
Clearly never, right? Let me just say, I was a graduate student last year. I got my degree last May, and I was kept to the same standard as everyone else, which was following the rules, which meant obviously no plagiarism, for example, citing sources, even things like making sure that my medical records were up to date and sent to the school. And if they were not sent to my school, I didn't get to go to graduation. I didn't get to go to class. I didn't get to enjoy the freedoms of being a student. I'm not understanding why things like medical records, policies regarding submitting those to the school are taken to a higher standard compared to policies regarding threatening other students or trespassing in this case.
Yeah, we've now been told we're allowed to plagiarize and chant "kill Jews," and that's fine at universities in the United States. This is a wild time to be alive, Elizabeth. Hopefully it gets better before it gets worse. Thank you so much for coming on.
Agreed.
Primetime.